There are three things you can do to radically improve your art. Those are your three most important tools that are always with you: your brain, your eyes, and your fine motor skills. What you see and how you see is important. As you become more and more into art, drawing, painting, you start looking differently at the world. I noticed one day I was at art college. I was in the train, I was looking through the window, and I was thinking, oh, nice gradation of greens, interesting structures. And then I thought, oh my God, I'm not thinking the same way as I used to think. So that is your eye. Your eye gets trained automatically as you make more art. Flying pigeon. You use a lot of memory of your brain. It's actually when you draw. A friend of mine filmed me once, and I noticed I was drawing and it went like... And I didn't even realize it, but that split second that you look at your subject, you look at your paper, and then you need to remember what you saw that split second ago. And that is your memory. Also, when you compare your drawing or painting to what you were painting, you always have to be critical. Not too critical, but critical. Is it good? And then there's fine motor skills. The better your fine motor skills, the better your art will be. A really important part of that is not just the practicing, which is like the important part for everything in art. It is how do you hold your pen, pencil, or brush. It is so basic. When I teach, I very often have students that hold their pen in like their fist in very cramped, very uncomfortable, very harsh ways. There is no way you can exploit all the possibilities that you have. I know you have those. Even if you think you can't draw, I know you can draw. You have those possibilities, but you can't utilize them because you can't use your hands and your fingers properly. So to refine your fine motor skills and train them, you first have to maybe completely relearn how you hold a pencil. So not like this, but like this. If you are one of the many people who holds their pen, pencils, brush in a cramped hand, you will be surprised how amazing your progress will be once you stop doing that. If you use this grip, which is based on the classic cursive writing grip, a lot more power will come to you. There is more versatility in your line, there is more versatility in your shading or your painting. You have more control. It is much less tiring. You don't get like hot spots on your fingers that hurt or even cause blisters or calluses. Working hard at it, which you should, and you'll just make your art even better. Let's have a look on how to hold the pencil. I'm holding it in between three fingers. Thumb, first finger, middle finger. And my other two fingers are bent. These slide over the paper. Now, if you don't have your whole hand on the paper, you also will have a lot less smudging. To be honest, I usually just slide on my pinky finger. I made a drawing of my studio pigeon. So this is how I usually draw, holding my hand the usual way. You may think that I hold my pencil a little bit far in the back. Well, that's not something you need to do. It's comfortable for me, but it really depends on what is comfortable for you, what works best for you. This is good for my shading. My pigeon is black and white, so that means I can do a lot of dark blacks and a lot of shading. And I use minimal pressure until I go into the deep blacks, and then I press much harder. The same goes for the paper. I like to angle my paper a little bit. I don't do it for most of the demonstrations I do here on this channel. That's because I find it important that I have a good view for you guys. If I get to choose, I always have my paper in an angle. Most people are most comfortable when their paper for drawing or writing is at an angle. And you should do that. Whatever is most comfortable, whatever is conducive to create good art, that's what you should do. I do not mean keeping your hand in a really cramped style. that is not conducive. It takes some time and it takes practice to be more comfortable with a completely different way of holding your hand. Now, I have also made a video where I've tried to replicate holding my pencil in stiff and very cramped hand. So here I am drawing in this very stiff, very cramped way, and strangely enough I'm still getting a fairly decent drawing, but it's not as good as when I draw in the way that I've trained myself for many years to draw. Relaxed, control, and with lots of nuance, both in my line and in my shading. So one of my students told me that her teacher actually told her she should hold her hand cramped and stiff. So is that true? I would really like to know, did anybody have their teacher tell them, oh yeah, holding your pencil like this is great. This is how you should do it. This is the right way. Please let me know in the comments if you have been taught that. I would really like to know. I'm very interested actually in this subject. Please let me know. And while you're at it, give me a like, you know, to help my channel against the dark forces of the YouTube algorithms. I am really surprised I got anything done this way, but my lines are less assured. They don't exactly go where I wanted them to go. And I also noticed that I couldn't really stop it, pressed really hard. I'm using a fairly soft pencil here and I pressed really hard on the paper. So is this the same for you? Especially if you tend to have a cramped style, do you find that you tend to press really hard, or did you manage to put a little bit more diversity in your pressure? That's also something I would like to know. Back to my good drawing. I very much prefer to have full control over my painting, drawing, writing implements. I've always taken that very seriously. I spent my whole life trying to be a good artist, and I'm still spending my life trying to be a good artist. I've always been working at it, and I've always been doing exercises too to get even better. So if you have a cramped style and you want to go to a relaxed style, it's a big difference. In the beginning, you will have less control, you will be less good, you won't be able to draw exactly what you want because this is not what you were used to. All change is hard, and also a relaxed way of holding your pencil gives you so much more control, but it also means it can go wrong, especially in the beginning. I think you lose about 70% of your capabilities when you're cramped. You might be quite happy with what you're doing right now, but I am quite convinced that you are only at a fraction of your capabilities, which is why I make this video. So there will be a very great temptation to go back to your accustomed grip. I mean, you have to write a letter. If you have to finish a commission, that's what you have to do. But in between, you should always be practicing. You always have your sketchbook with you, right? You should always have a small sketchbook with you. As always with art, practice and dedication will get you to your goal, always. There are several things you can do to kickstart and speed up a transition. You can make doodles. Put your hand in the right position and then start making wavy lines and stripes and circles. I like to make like three-dimensional balls with those circles. But what I did to make a really strong improvement, I was already holding my hand like that, but I got even better when I started doing writing exercises. When I draw, I can draw exactly what I want. When I write, it goes all over the place. Why is that? Anyway, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a 19th century writing course. So that's going to be the next video. See you then. Know that you matter. You are valued and you are amazing.